what we really need to know is that if you're an empath, a person that's a selfless giver, you're also going to be more sensitive, and you're going to be more like a sponge that absorbs a lot of the energy, the negativity, the difficulties. And when I say negativity, I'm not talking about just bombarding anger, and I'm talking about the pain, the struggles that the people that we're taking care of go through. And we're there to take care of them and help them through their journey. And it's such a difficult journey. And when we are with them, there is a part of it we are going to absorb some of that energy. It's inevitable. If you're cold and turned off and calculating and whatever, then you're not going to be a caregiver anyway. But when you are a caregiver and an empath and someone who really cares, the chances are almost 100%, of course, you're going to absorb some of these things. The problem is it has a cumulative effect if you don't know how to take care of yourself. We're seeing a lot of caregivers don't have a clue. And they better, because we're seeing what it can do to a person when they don't understand the emotional implications. We've got to understand our emotions. We've got to understand ourselves better and the effect of who we are and what our pasts and what our lives have, and how they've impacted us. We've got to be able to have a baseline reading on who we are, where our wounds are, what we feel like when we're angry, or when we're sad, or when we're frightened. We've got to kind of know what it feels like in our own bodies. And this is without being a caregiver. This is just who we are.
Anyone.
And it's very important to have that awareness, because that will translate into, if we don't, impacting our way we think and the way we feel biologically as well as emotionally and spiritually. These things are so important. What I'm seeing is that a lot of people don't have a baseline because they do something that's we've seen it in some of our own caregivers and our team. It's a real problem. And we're not saying our team is perfect. We have some people that have some very serious issues. One of them is what they call splitting off, or disassociation, where they actually disconnect from what they feel in their bodies. And their reactions usually are, when you look at what they're dealing with, kind of unusual and sometimes very strange.
They don't fit what's happening right now.
Absolutely. And we look at it and go, something's wrong here. This doesn't look right. But when we really get to connect with those folks again and give them the support, we usually find out that when they have trauma from their childhood or when they're growing up, that they had to kind of, it wasn't appropriate, or they couldn't feel what was going on. It was too intense or too overwhelming or too bizarre or destructive. So part of them just kind of shut off. They call it, clinically they call it disassociation. We're finding a lot of caregivers have disassociation or splitting off. That's a really unhealthy thing to do, and I'll tell you why. Because if you don't know what you're feeling emotionally, it will begin to take on a life of its own.